Yeah, I will start by telling you my name. So my name is Dmitro Kapotya, and I work with my colleague Barton Finn at the company called TCO Development. The company is based in Stockholm, in Sweden. We both work as purchaser engagement managers. Basically, we involved in the procurement sector, and we assist purchasers in their work and their practices. In this presentation, first of all, we will introduce main sustainability challenges in the IT industry, and then we will explain what kind of work, what we actually do to address these challenges through procurement. It was planned that presentation will last for like 45 minutes, and then we would have half an hour for Q&A session. But we're flexible. It all depends on whether people join or not, on number of questions. If we get any questions, so we can adjust and we can use our time as we want. We can also, we actually want to give you some more time in the end, so you can have a break maybe before the next session, because I assume that then, new sessions start. Yeah, maybe just really short agenda in terms of presentation. So first of all, introduction, then I will explain who we are, what we do, what kind of background we have, where our knowledge and experience come from. Then we will present sustainability criteria certification. It's actually what we work on. It's a product of our company. This certification is called TISO Certified, as you see on the first slide. Closer to the end, we'll talk about some practical tips and key priorities in procurement and procurement framework. And then finally, we have a Q&A session where you're free to ask any questions. We'll try to cover all of those. Yes, let's go to the next slide.
Share
And
your presentation.
yeah.
Okay, there we
And
go.
now
You
I
can
see that
see it.
I can switch. Now, yeah, I see that I have full control over our presentation. That's good. So yes, let's start with sustainability challenges. And obviously, as any other product, IT products have and cause different kinds of impacts throughout the entire life cycle. If to keep it really short, every product has own life cycle. The stage when resources extracted, the stage when these resources processed and used for manufacturing a final product, the stage when we as customers, as users, actually use the product, and finally the one of the last stages when we discard, when we dispose of the product, when we don't need it, or when the product is outdated. And of course, at this stage, different approaches, and nowadays we're trying to actually reuse, recycle, and put these discarded products back in the cycle. But this is something what we can talk about a little bit later. So at each of these stages, every product, every IT product, your smartphone in your pocket, laptop in front of you, they cause social and environmental impacts. You might heard about unequal rights and unequal wages of workers at factory levels. Probably you know that factories also cause environmental impact, and not all factories function in line with existing legislation. You know that some resources like cobalt for lithium-ion batteries, they come from the regions, from the areas where serious violation of human rights happen, where serious mishandling of the situation and work conflicts occur. You know that different kinds of chemicals used in the processing of materials. You know that some of the chemicals and product content unsafe for human health, for environment. You also understand that whenever we throw away discarded products, we create new inputs to waste stream. And in terms of IT products, we gain larger e-waste stream, which actually equals to 50 million tons on annual basis, what is really extreme. Whether you know about these challenges or not, whether you have any personal commitments, ethical commitments, or whether you want to achieve better cost efficiency for your organization, for your entity, there is a trend, sustainable IT. And this trend is supported by, well, first of all, situation itself, because we have a crisis, environmental crisis. And obviously, trying to address this crisis, we set legislation, policies, strategies. We guide international cooperation accordingly to meet this challenge, to address this challenge. Thereby, sustainable IT is something what eventually you will face if you don't face already. And this is something what we actually work with and work on. So let me introduce TCO development and our global sustainability certification for office IT products and network equipment called TCO certified. So we exist for 28 years, since 1992, and initially it was a certification for user health and safety, but eventually it was expanded to cover social and environmental impacts. So nowadays, in 2020, it's a holistic sustainability certification which causes full supply chain responsibility. We cover 11 product categories. Till recently, it was only 8. All kinds of computers, all-in-one computers, desktop computers, notebooks, laptops, tablets, projectors, smartphones, headsets. But in the latest Criterion generation, we also expanded product categories that we cover, and now we added network equipment, basically servers and all connected equipment. So as for now, it's 11 product categories, and among our clients, you will find 27 brands and up to 3,500 product models certified as for now. So this is something what can be found again in our product finder on our website, what we will also mention later again. We set sustainability criteria, requirements, if to use another word, to make consumption and use of IT products more sustainable. If to maybe explain better what we do. So first of all, we run certification itself, setting requirements to goals, social and environmental responsibility. But what is also important is that we work with purchasers and we assist and help purchasers in their procurement practices. And we also empower purchasers by giving them voice in a dialogue with the IT industry. And finally, yes, obviously, we work a lot with the industry. Sometimes it's a small fight, sometimes it's a pleasant dialogue. But our task to make industry and stakeholders in the industry to rethink and redesign the IT products to considering environmental and social responsibility. I will jump to the next slide where we can actually mention life cycle again. And as you remember, I explained that each product, every IT product has life cycles that consist of different stages. And at each of the stages, there are different impacts which are important to address actually. And setting requirements, we cover all these life cycle stages. So if you look up in supply chains to the stage when we extract resources, when we produce a product, we consider different levels. On the factory level, we assess and verify compliance with these factories with environmental requirements, and we also have a list of risk factories. High risk level means that we look and audit such factories closely more often and helps them to actually be in compliance with the requirements of these kind of factories. It takes time, and if it doesn't happen, then we actually encourage brands not to work with these factories. Obviously, we also consider worker levels. So we set requirements to achieve equality in wages, in rights, in social aspects for every worker at these factories. Obviously, we also set requirements regarding environmental responsibility shown by these factories. If we jump to the next stage, the use stage, when we as customers basically use our devices, we still set requirements regarding user health and safety. Obviously, we consider performance of these products, of certified products, or products which are stand for verification to check compliance with our requirements to be certified. So product performance is obviously important because the better performance or better performance means that user will not replace these products for longer time. Thereby, we diminish electronic waste stream, and we diminish consumption of these products. What also contributes a lot to the shift from circular economy from linear economy to circular economy. It was a test, guys, whether you listen or not. At this stage, we also implement circular economy principles, and this is something new, what we did actually in the latest generation of our requirements. So we set several requirements that aim to extend product lifetime, letting you as a customer to use it longer. So we worked a lot with the industry, with particular brands to redesign a little bit their products. And as you see, I don't know whether you see my cursor, but right now I'm pointing out actually at set of requirements regarding batteries, battery life cycles, availability of spare parts, product design, whether it's possible to repair and disassemble this product. So this is something what we worked recently on, and this is quite new to us, for us, and for the industry itself. Finally, at the end of life stage of a product, we set requirements that actually aim to reduce amount of potentially hazardous chemicals and hazardous chemicals in the product content. We also encourage brands to make systems showing responsibility basically in terms of their product. So take back systems aim to reduce amount of waste caused by the products we consume and that we discard eventually. Finally, we also have our own sustainability performance indicators that actually aim to show you what kind of impact, positive and negative, you cause by using particular IT product models. They're based on basically amount of recycled plastic in product content. And then we also consider the weight of this product because again, it's one of the aspects of one of the ways to measure amount of the electronic waste that we create. So this is a set of requirements that we set to all life cycle stages. And now we will cover some of those, showing you some features of our certification. And at this stage, I will give a word back to Barton, and he will explain how we actually work on extending of product lifetime. Yeah, thanks, Barton.
Thanks, Dima, for this great introduction. And so, yeah, as you said, let's move on to the agenda we have for today. And the idea now will be to get a bit more practical by focusing on some of our certification criteria. And the idea here will be to let you understand how those certification criteria are ultimately the translation of our willingness to tackle the issues that Dima just mentioned in his introduction, and how those criteria, they actually reflect our approach for tackling those issues. So I'll start with giving a few words on product lifetime extension. But before this, yeah, just to remind us, I think that this is really important. So I would like to say it again, but e-waste is a real problem. And I think that here our basic observation is that IT products have a lifespan that is too short. And because of that, this is leading in growing the e-waste issue. And as Dima said, more than 50 million metric tons of e-waste are produced each year. The number is still growing, and that makes e-waste the fastest growing waste stream globally. And what is a bit more frightening also is that we know that more or less 80% of this e-waste is not recycled properly, which means that it is burnt or incinerated or placed in landfill. But anyway, this is linked to heavy pollution and to hazardous risks for health and for the environment. But also at a more practical level, this is also linked to the loss of valuable natural resources. And so from this perspective, we think that the best way to reduce and to tackle this issue is to extend as much as possible the usable lifetime of IT products. And so from this perspective, we really wanted to introduce in our certification criteria some criteria that would make the products, the certified products, more durable, more repairable, and more upgradable. So that was the general approach that we wanted to develop. And so now, how did we actually do to translate this willingness into actual certification criteria that are included in TCO Certified now today? Well, it was not simple, but we tried to have a rather simple approach. And so what we did was to apply the circular economy principle to IT products. And we looked at the use phase of IT products. And when we apply the circular economy model to this, we try to identify within the use phase different steps that represented opportunities to keep the product in use as long as possible, keep the product or its components in use as long as possible, or keep its materials in the economy rather than letting them go down the path of the linear model. So let me give you the visual illustration of how we did this exactly. So first of all, if we start at the basic level, which is the service level or the initial use level, we really wanted to seize the opportunity to prolong as much as possible the use of products. And so as Dima said, that's why we introduced several criteria looking at achieving this. And the example that I would like to share today is our criterion requiring from certified products to have minimum levels of drop and temperature resistance, which may sound a bit silly, but it's really important if we are to use our product for longer time periods. They must be durable, they must be resistant over time. So that was really important for us. A second criterion that I could also mention here is our criterion for minimum battery longevity performances. Again, with this idea of being able to keep the product in use as long as possible for its initial user and preventing it from becoming waste. So that was at the basic level, but if we go one level higher, which is the refurbishment level, here the opportunity that we wanted to seize was really to give a second life to the product. So if if the product is no longer able to work for its initial user, or we wanted to take all the different opportunities we had in order to give it a second life, whether it's for its initial user or another one. And so here again, we introduced a whole set of criteria looking at achieving this. And the example that I can mention here is our criterion requiring that all critical components of certified products to be replaceable. So even if one component of the product is defectuous, then it can be replaced and the product can be kept in use for longer. And then one level higher, it's a bit the same idea, but at the components level. So we called it the parts harvesting level. And here the opportunity that we identified was that even if the product as a whole is no longer able to work for whatever reasons, then we still wanted to be able to reuse the different components in those products so that they can be kept in the economy, kept in the loop and not become waste. And so here also a similar criterion that I can share with you is a criterion requiring all the key components of certified products to be standardized so they can be used and replaced in other products and can be kept in use as long as possible. And then last but not least, the most downstream level in this model, which is the recycling level. And here we were guided by the idea and by the opportunity to keep, if not the product, if not the components, to keep the materials of the product in use and in the economy as long as possible, or to put them back in the economy rather than letting them go down the path of the linear model. And so here the criterion that I can share with you is, for example, a criterion requiring all the plastic parts in certified products to be coded, like physically coded. So at the end of its life cycle, those different plastic parts can be easily sorted, regrouped, and which adds to the efficiency of the recycling process. So that's in a nutshell our approach and some examples of the criteria that we designed in order to extend the lifetime of certified products. And I really like this all of those criteria because if you add them, they also bring another benefit, which is not directly related to the fight against e-waste, but which is really important from a purchasing perspective, which is cost efficiency. Because of course, if you have products that are able to last for a longer time period, then you don't need to buy every so often new products, which also add this cost efficiency element, which I think is really important. And so, yeah, a little story that I can share with you is the story of our CEO who has been using his laptop, so his notebook computer, for 8 or 9 years now. And I mean, he changed twice the battery, but otherwise the product is still working perfectly. So I think it's a great example that how a certification can help in that sense. Yeah, and with that, I'll check if there is no question. Over to Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Just one question. So you have this life cycle cost of IT product, and it could be used, for example, as we have in Italy, the minimum environmental criteria for laptop or modem or whatever. So this can be used also as a certification, for example, in Italy, to say that this IT product is based on reuse. So it could be compliance with our, for example, for our system and our GPP environmental minimum criteria.
Yes. So yeah. So definitely, and we were, for example, in touch with Consip, and I think that most of the criteria within the TCO certified actually go beyond the Italian minimum environmental criteria. So indeed, TCO certified can be used as a valid proof of compliance with the Italian minimum environmental criteria. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, no, thanks. That's a great news to have, because we have a lot of I don't know, I don't have the term now. As you said,
Just as a small comment, if we're not mistaken, as we understand, this minimum environmental requirements in Italy, they will be cancelled now, or they're like in the process of redevelopment for IT products at least. So as I understand, they're not gonna function for like 1 year. Or like till next year at least. But in any case, yes, TCO certified goes beyond, and as you see, not only environmental requirements but also social requirements. So it's much more extended. So in this case, we talking not about green public procurement, but more like about sustainable public procurement. What makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Barton, maybe I will ask you to switch to the next slide, because I guess that you still have control
yes.
over.
Sorry,
And
Dima. Yeah,
I
sure.
don't. Yeah. Or maybe I have to press something, but no, I don't have control over slides yet. Okay, now I do have. Thanks, Laura. Yeah. Continuing presentation of the requirements that we set. So let's jump maybe from product lifetime extension. What is important, as Barton said, in terms of both environmental impact, diminished environmental impact, and better cost efficiency, which is achieved by extended use of these products. Let's maybe jump to chemicals. Chemicals used in processing when products are produced, and chemicals used in product content, what actually affects final stages of any product, and ability to recycle and extract, recover materials from these discarded products. And we think, and we actually know that in this case, TCO certified again goes beyond and is quite innovative, because we're using a different approach compared to the approach used on the international legislative level. But first of all, why we even talking about chemicals? So the problem is that nowadays we have more than 140 million chemical compounds and substances registered at cost list. And every day we get more and more. According to reports, it's something like 25,000 new substances on average, just because after releasing new chemicals in the air, in the environment, they start to interact and create new compounds which we can't even register. So this is something what green chemistry questions and aims to solve. But it will be a big challenge in the future. So meanwhile, it's important to take control over and actually start using the chemicals that we know very well, that we observe, that we can control. Chemicals those chemicals which we actually can understand. But the problem is that many product manufacturers, they don't really have access to this kind of information, information about all chemicals they use in production. Just because, again, companies responsible for these chemical compounds, they're not really keen to share information about qualities and origin of these chemicals. It is a commercial secret. They keep it for themselves. That's why a new challenge arises. It's important to create new lists of chemicals, of well-observed chemicals that can be widely used and adopted by the industry. So in this case, important to help the industry itself. Yes, and this is something what we actually do within TCO Certified, our certification. So what we aim to do is, first of all, we want to limit or stop producers from using some exact substances, and setting requirements. We focus on, first of all, heavy metals. We focus on flame retardants, and we focus on plasticizers. Secondly, we create a list of verified and approved flame retardants and plasticizers, which can be safely used instead of non-absorbed chemicals. So main approach here is basically, instead of banning bad chemicals, to share and provide a list of chemicals which can be used. So together with some other organizations and independent verifiers, we work on creating a list of such good chemicals. As for now, it's mostly about flame retardants and plasticizers. And this list is freely available, is shared with the industry. And obviously you understand that it's so much easier for product manufacturers when they have exact list of chemical compounds which can be safely used, instead of just using new chemicals to replace those which were banned. Because often happens that whenever legislation on EU level, on the international level, erase and bans particular chemicals, particular compounds, then just a small tiny modification of this compound, and it can be set as a new chemical compound and sent back in production without any changes in quality and how it actually behaves. But again, according to legislation, it will be allowed for use. And it's not good because it's still a harmful substance. So big work done here to create this list of accepted substances. And this list is actually called Accepted Substance List, and it's freely available on our website. In a second, in just one slide, I will show you example how it looks like. This is a list shared with the industry and adopted by the industry at the moment. And yeah, just maybe to explain some details. So basically, working on this list, we involve Screen as independent verifier, and Screen basically benchmarks all, not all, but in this case, flame retardants and plasticizers. Benchmark on the scale from 1 to 4. And 1 means that this chemical cannot be used. And from 2 to 4, level of imposed risk drops. And it means that chemicals from level 2 and 3 can still be used, but we encourage producers to find alternatives, and we actually work to provide these alternatives. And benchmarks level number 4 means that the chemical, the compound, is absolutely safe and can be freely used. It's a green chemical. Again, so far we cover non-halogenated flame retardants and plasticizers. Just to explain, flame retardants used to avoid risk or to improve fire safety and decrease flammability of IT products, and plasticizers used in cables. And both kinds of these chemicals may cause and may impose risk to users' health and to environment. So Screen assesses these chemicals in terms of impact on environment and user health. And based on this benchmark, we assemble accepted substance list. Besides setting requirements directly to chemicals used in processing and product content, we also work a lot, again, on factory level. And we ensure that, first of all workers have appropriate personal protective equipment. Second, that factories have appropriate health and safety management systems. And yeah, one more item, and I will take a look at my notes. We also, yes, work with brand stakeholders and on the factory level in terms of chemicals used in processing. Again, identifying and providing safer alternatives to be used. Now I will jump to the slide where you can see an example how this accepted substance list looks like. Again, it's freely available and shared with the industry. It has a connection to CAS registry, so it's easy to find, easy to monitor, to control, and absolutely in line with existing legislation. Maybe the quality, yeah, I see that the quality maybe is not the best not enough pixels. Not really good definition of the picture, but available on the website, and yes, we'll share a link in the end, so you may check and you may see how it looks like. It's a dynamic list, and again, it's ongoing work with green screen. We add new safer alternatives, expanding options for product manufacturers. This is something about chemicals. But now I will give back the word to Barton, and he will introduce how we work on improving working conditions in supply chains. Thanks, Barton.
Thanks, Dima, for those insights. And yeah, so we talked about our willingness to tackle the waste issue and how we translate it into the development of specific criteria included in TCO certified. Dima just explained our work around hazardous substances in the product, but of course, we also know that the IT industry is linked to a lot of social issues or even problems, and those occur in the entire supply chain. So from the sourcing of the minerals, the precious metals that will be used in our products, until the very end and last steps of the assembling of the IT products that we buy. And of course, these issues they are equally important to the environmental issues, because, and if not more, because we're talking about human-related issues. So yeah, Dima already mentioned a couple of examples, but we could also talk about forced labor, here, child labor, discrimination in the workplace, the availability for the workers to unite and to organize themselves being prevented. All of those kind of issues are really present in the entire supply chain of the IT industry. And of course, we want to also tackle those issues through our certification. We want to drive continuous improvement in relation to them. And so that's why, and I will give you a bit more information in a few seconds on how we do this in order to drive improvement in relation to those issues. But first of all, I think it's always useful to take a step back also to let you know our observation and why we think that there is a lot of issue and why we think it's really hard from a purchasing perspective to have an impact on those issues. And according to us, this is related to the complexity of the IT supply chains, because as you probably know, but the brand owners, so whose logos you see on the products, whose names you see on the products, they most often don't own the factories where the products are being produced, made, assembled, and they don't own the factories where the components are being produced. And so, and instead of this, they relied on cascade subcontracting. But I mean, when I say cascade, it's really like dozens, if not hundreds, of cascade subcontracting that can take place for the production of an IT product. And according to us, this makes it really hard for purchasers to first have a full visibility on the depth and the length of the supply chain and what happens in the supply chain because it's so big and so wide. And also, it makes it hard for purchasers to have a real impact because they're only talking to the most downstream stakeholder in all this supply chain. But it's really hard for the purchaser to talk and to have an influence on what happens behind this. And so, in front of this challenge, that's why we created within TCO Certified a framework in order to where brand owners are held accountable for the social sustainability of their supply chain, even for steps and for the facilities that they don't directly own and control themselves. And according to us, this is really the way to go in order to drive progress, is to make the brand owner, who is the last actor in this supply chain, responsible and accountable for the sustainability of the entire supply chain in order to drive progress for the entire supply chain. So yeah, that's basically our approach. And now I would like to take a couple of minutes to give you more details about what we hold brand owners accountable against as part of this framework. And here I have to distinguish between two things, what we call responsible manufacturing and what we call responsible mineral sourcing. And so those are two different steps, equally important. But when we talk about responsible manufacturing, we are really focusing on the manufacturing steps. So everything that will be related to making the components and making the products, the IT products. Yeah. So let's start with responsible manufacturing. We have quite a lot of requirements in relation for the brand owners in relation to responsible manufacturing. But the ones that I would like to share with you today are three key requirements, really. First of all, we ask the brand owner and all its supply chain and all its manufacturing operations to be compliant with the ILO 8 core conventions, as well as the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and also to be compliant with all the different applicable local health, safety, and labor laws in the country of the manufacturer. And so, just to give you a bit more idea on what those 8 ILO core conventions cover, well, they cover like items such as fair living wage, no discrimination in the workplace, having fair and decent working conditions. So those are really the global standards in terms of fair working conditions. So that's really a first set of requirements that we have and that we hold brand owners accountable against. The second is we ask the brand owners, to and all the related supply chain behind the brand owner to not include working weeks that go beyond a 60 hours limit, which should include overtime, which is another key requirement that we have in relation to responsible manufacturing. And then last but not least, we also require from the brand owner and all his suppliers to have health, safety, and environmental systems in management systems in place in order to ensure that they continuously work on improving their performance when it comes to not impacting the environment through the manufacturing operations and protecting the worker, the health and the safety of the workers as part of the manufacturing process. So that's really the key set of requirements in relation to responsible manufacturing. Now, moving on to responsible mineral sourcing, here also we have a dedicated set of requirements. And I should start here by mentioning that whenever we talk about responsible mineral sourcing, we often talk about the three T's G, which is the conflict minerals, and so those are tin, tungsten, tantalum, and gold. But from our understanding, cobalt is also really a mineral where there is a lot of issues. So we also integrate cobalt in our definition risk or conflict mineral, and cobalt is part of all the different requirements that we have in relation to responsible the responsible sourcing of minerals. So that's the first item. And then in terms of actual requirements that we have for the brand owner, first of all, we require the brand owner to have a public policy that should cover the conflict minerals, so the three T's, G, as well as cobalt. And we ask this policy to be communicated and enforced all the way down the supply chain of the brand owner. So that's the first set of requirements. Then, still in relation to this, we also ask the brand owner to go beyond than this, and we ask the brand owner to apply due diligence in identifying and tracing the entire supply chains of the risk minerals that are used in the products that the brand owner manufactures. And that, if you want, is a tool which is a requirement that we have in relation to brand owners, so we are sure that they trace the different risks in their supply chains of those minerals, and that they can act and adapt the sourcing of this mineral based on the risks that they identified in their supply chain. And then last but not least, we also ask that brand owners are involved in regional multi-stakeholder initiatives that support like the local communities on the ground in relation to responsible mining. So that's another set of requirements which also adds to this idea of due diligence. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, or different requirements in relation to responsible manufacturing and responsible sourcing. And now we've maybe reached a point where you might be wondering, well, that's super nice, all those criteria, and I fully agree with all the requirements that you just presented. But how does TCO certified actually work? How does the certification ensure that at the end of the day, the products that are being certified are compliant with all those requirements that Dima and I just presented? And it's a really good question. So I would like to take a final couple of minutes now to give you more information on this. And I'll maybe start by, yeah, usually, and I think that here it's relevant not only for certification, but also for purchasers, because we are often talking about criteria. Purchasers include criteria in their procurement technical specification, and in our case, our certification includes criteria for the certification of products. And usually, I say that it's really important to have ambitious criteria in order for them to drive changes and to really challenge the IT industry. But on the other hand, it's also really important to make sure that those criteria are being respected, because otherwise the criteria become kind of pointless if you don't give yourself the means to verify that those criteria are being respected. And so that's something that we don't want with our criteria. And so that's why within TCO Certified, we include and we developed actually an independent verification and an ongoing and independent verification system, which aims at achieving exactly this, making sure that our criteria are not pointless and that they are being respected by the brand owners. So let me give you a bit more information on how this independent and ongoing verification process works. And here I have, again, to distinguish between two elements. So first of all, assessing the products and assessing the factory conditions. So when it comes to assessing the products, we work with, and that's like in general for this ongoing verification system, we work with a network of verification and testing organizations that are independent, that are accredited to several ISO standards to make sure that they are independent and professional in the way they will be working. And we work with them for assessing the product and the factory conditions. So when it comes to assessing the products, what does that mean that we work with them? It means that before that the certificate is awarded to a specific product, we will ask one of our verification partner, and those are testing laboratories. We will ask them to carry out all the relevant product testing to make sure that the product complies with our product-related criteria. And here we're talking mainly about environmental criteria or product performances criteria. So that happens before that the certificate is awarded. But as I said already, is that we want the system to be working on an ongoing basis. And so it doesn't stop there. After that the certificate is awarded, we will continue to work on this. And so when it comes to assessing the product, we will each year look at all the different products that are certified according to TCO certified, and we will randomly select like a few products within this entire product catalog, and we will ask our verification partner to redo the testing to make sure that the product continues to comply with our product-related requirements. So that's what it means when so for the assessment of the product. And then when it comes to assessing the factory conditions, there it's a bit the same idea. So we will work on the basis of social audits of the social sustainability of the factories of all the final assembly factories that will be involved in assembling the certified products. And so we will look at the results of these social audits before that the certificate is awarded for the product. And so if there are no major non-compliance or non-conformities, then the certificate will be attributed to the product. But then again, it doesn't stop there, because after that the certificate is awarded, we still have an ongoing engagement with the brand owners in relation to the performances of the factories and of the suppliers that they use in relation to social sustainability. And what we try to do here is to really focus our efforts where those are the most needed. So we will look at first of all, the results of the social audits in the factories. And for the factories where we see that there might be some problems and that the implementation plans are not correctly followed upon, and where those kind of red signals occur for one or more factories, then we will try to focus on those factories with increased requirements in terms of follow-up and in terms of checking of the social sustainability in these factories. And so, yeah, using this system allows us to really focus where efforts are needed the most. Yeah, so I guess that summarizes a bit our system for ongoing and independent verification of compliance, where we work with independent and accredited testing and verification organizations or social auditors to make sure that all our product-related criteria and all our requirements in relation to the factory conditions and the social sustainability of the supply chains are being respected for certified products. And yeah, if there are no questions on this and on our verification system, I will hand over to Dima.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks, Barton. And again, I mean that we can keep questions, if any questions for
Yeah.
Now actually short Q&A session, because I will finish like in 5 minutes, I guess. And yeah. But yeah, thank you very much. And I guess by now we created this sort of picture about TCO certified global sustainability certification for IT products. And after such introduction, obviously we want purchasers to use our criteria and to rely on our certification. But at the same time, we want to give you some practical tips and maybe guide you a little bit in terms of transforming procurement in more sustainable procurement. And there are actually things that you can do on daily basis, and even without waiting for like using any tools. Something what you can start integrating by yourself already now or tomorrow. So first of all, let's maybe mention a few key directions that you might need to consider to make your procurement more sustainable. So first of all, one of the biggest advice is to start purchasing service over product. In this case, you get many financial benefits in terms of handling product and fixing product if any problems occur. You have better warranties and assistance from a service provider. So one of the main rules is actually using a service over product. And I guess nowadays with new business models, it became really popular and well known. And probably many of you heard and saw examples with printers when you don't really buy printer nowadays anymore, but more like a service. And when a company who provided the printer to your entity just comes and changes ink cartridges and fixes everything what should be fixed, and you're a happy user of this printer. So just basic example. Second, specifying energy efficient equipment in your tenders. But then again, keep in mind that no need to pursue and buy new product models just because their energy efficiency is slightly improved. In most cases, it doesn't pay off, and overall impact of such decision, such step, and such product will be much more significant, because if you replace earlier than planned, it means that you again stimulate consumption, and you go back from circular economy to linear economy, and the overall impact again grows. As for this product and for your organization, for both. Again, something what we work in the latest criteria generation is extended product lifetime, and we encourage you as a purchaser to capitalize on this feature, on extended lifetime. Maybe main advice here, first of all, to mention an increased period of your procurement. So maybe consider adding at least 1 year to your usual purchasing time routine. Instead of 4 years, for example, 5 or even 6. It also depends on what kind of equipment you purchase. But also buying new equipment, consider design and how this equipment actually designed, whether it fits such approaches as repairing and refurbishment, and whether such equipment can be maybe recycled in easier ways. Again, consider amount of recovered and recycled materials and product content. This is one of the main leverages and ways to actually stimulate circular economy and make transition from linear economy to circular. Finally, again, don't be afraid to use UN's United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and connect them to your organizations, your company's goals, because I hope that you as organization and company have your goals. It's important to set goals to achieve feasible results. So we encourage you to use this unified approach with well-defined, in general terms, but still well-defined goals. They can be applied on different levels and different scales. Something maybe even more practical, I hope so. So probably the easiest way to try and make your procurement more sustainable is starting working with companies that already did it to their business. In this case, their reduced impact will also reduce the overall impact of your organization, your entity. So take a closer look at your companions, at your suppliers. Choose carefully with whom you work. Important work should be done on the internal level when you basically integrate sustainable consumption patterns on your company's scale. So again, first of all, if you don't buy service over product, and you prefer to buy products, then consider their products with extended service and warranty periods. Again, whenever you purchase new equipment, consider what you could do to your older hardware. Maybe you could share and give it to short-term employees. It's a very small and tiny trick, but still it works. Again, consider second-hand markets. Maybe you can resell unnecessary hardware. Finally, try to ensure that new equipment is treated in a proper way. And for example, some companies, they buy smartphones for their employees. And in this case, a small but efficient step would be adding cases, protective cases to such products, to smartphones. Again, increasing their overall lifespan. But finally, in the end, again, don't be afraid to use TCS certified criteria in your procurement. And we encourage you to take social and environmental responsibility and to find the ways to actually use and utilize cost efficiency, which actually comes with more sustainable options. Often it requires some more investments on initial stage at first steps, but eventually it pays off. So we encourage you to use CISO certified in your procurement and to use our criteria. Again, take a look on our website at our criteria one more time. Get back to us with questions, if any questions, and yeah, we'll help you to integrate those criteria in your procurement strategies. At this or on this note, yeah, I would say that we are pretty much done with the presentation of TCS Certified and how we actually address sustainability challenges in the IT industry. And now we have like 10 plus minutes for questions, if any questions. Yeah, not many people joined the session, but it was expected because things happening at the same time. But yeah, if any questions, feel free to raise your hand or maybe post in the chat. Yes, Simone, we see your question. Thanks. Okay, so the question is, what do you think about the distinction between consumers and professionals, domestic use of IT products and professional procurement? Professionals are also customers, so the products they use are not excluded from energy consumption certification as European energy labeling. Includes specific provisions, for example, industrial displays. The energy label European framework be useful for this spirit of most energy products. Will become a selling point also for more advanced. Yeah, I mean, obviously there is a difference between professional sector and using IT hardware on a personal level as a customer. First of all, the difference is in scale. Just gonna read again, yeah, for myself first of all. Yeah, again, energy efficiency is one of factors, aspect of more sustainable products. And obviously, when new product models designed, energy efficiency probably comes first because many users, despite the sector, like professionals or private users, they are accustomed to energy efficiency, and probably this is one of the first attributes which cause better cost efficiency. We are often asked whether our certification cover energy efficiency, and yes, we do cover. Till recently, we included Energy Star, but now also some changes happen on the EU level with energy labeling. And I know that you, Simon, within this project belt, you work on this a lot. And I know that basically in 1 year, since the next year, energy labeling gonna look differently. So first of all, there will not be any A+, A++, or A+++ products in terms of energy efficiency. All products with the best energy efficiency will be put in category B. And it means that category A, the most energy efficient equipment, will be empty for some time. So this is done by EU to encourage industry to design and think twice maybe how to produce more energy efficient equipment right now. So for some time, category A will be empty, but it doesn't mean that energy efficient equipment will disappear from the market. No, it just will be labeled in a different way. It will be probably C and B. B will be the best one for the moment. But yes, energy efficiency is an important aspect of more sustainable IT products. And we do consider this in our certification. And as you saw, we also encourage to specify more energy efficient equipment in procurement. This is definitely an important practice. Just that, again, exact researchers and scientists, after conducting life cycle costing and life cycle assessment, they clearly show that no sense to immediately replace your current equipment with slightly more energy efficient equipment, because in this case it will take something like 30 plus years to counterbalance the impact you cause by buying this new, slightly more energy efficient equipment. But yeah, I'm talking too much, I guess. Barton, you should stop me actually. Would you like to add something? Or
No, I fully agree with what you said. Maybe the only thing, and it's a more reflection on a high level perspective, but I think that both, so coming back to the consumer versus professionals, I think that both is really important in order to drive a more sustainable IT products. And of course, I agree with what you said, Simone, that it might be a good, like the professional world it's more easy to engage because it's more structured and not as all the different individual consumers. So definitely that's an area where they could, like, real progress could be achieved by using this fact of like organizations being more structured than individual consumers. But yeah.
But yeah, I guess. Yes, Simona, thank you for your question. And
With pleasure.
yeah, and Simona, again, we had dialogue communication previously. Thank you for sharing information about what you do within Belt. And yeah, I mean, let's stay in touch and see what we could maybe achieve together in terms of setting requirements to energy efficiency, and how maybe to connect what Belt project does to this certified certification. I hope we will stay in touch, and we will take a look together.
And of course, if you have any other question, I mean, just feel free to reach out to either Dima or me. We are always happy to help. So yeah, you
Maybe at this stage we'll mention
maybe
that.
Dima, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that everything is real clear and really interesting. I think that it could be really useful in the application of each procurement. So thanks for the presentation. It's very really clear in each part of it.
Yeah, thank you. And again, important that we often get a question, all right, we want to use certification, we want to go to more advanced level in terms of social responsibility, and we want to integrate this as certified in tenders, but other products, other certified products, and yes, we have a product finder on the website. And you may see that competitors, different brands, they work a lot on ensuring that some of their product models are in compliance with our requirements. Again, probably important to highlight that we don't certify brands. We certify products. So it means that one brand might have one certified product model, another brand might have 10. But yes, we have different brands working on redesigning their products to meet our requirements. And some of their products fail to do this and they don't get any certificate. But some products are more successful in terms of eco-design, in terms of overall design, and
Yes, of course. Also because I think that in this period of time, the social responsibility is something that can carry out a product instead of another one, as the green criteria. The social criteria are fundamental because people are looking more and more at this kind of product that are helpful in all the part of society. So I think that this kind of certification is fundamental also in a part that is the IT, that now it's like one of, I think, the most important market probably in the world. So having a certification in this term instead of the other person that can sell a product, it's fundamental because you show a different kind of I don't know. I don't know the word.
It's a different kind of responsibility, really.
Yes, input. I don't know. It's you make a difference between other 200,000 of product. You make a difference with a certification that nowadays is, I think, fundamental in also to be in terms of money to be competitive also in the market, because now is the only things that people looking to having some different product. This is the one that have a better result, better view in the market. So the certification is certainly fundamental. So I don't know if there is another question, and as Fondazione Ecosistemi, I would say that it could be very interesting to be in contact with you and
absolutely
talking more about these things and how we can apply this with our project in the procurement and in the social procurement also, that it's a part of our business, as we can say. So this could be really, really helpful.
Yeah, thanks for such feedback, and let's definitely talk together what we could do maybe together, and let's stay in touch. And now you may see that we have
of Sabina Nicolella. You can also have mine, and I think that it would be really, really useful and important in terms of, as you said, social responsibility. That is one of the most important things in the world, I think, especially nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, again, whether we want or not, it's coming. This is just a new world, and we see these rising challenges. It just inevitably it will be part of everyone's strategy, and everyone will have to consider this to stay in business. As for now, there is time to make this transition and to find different tools which fit actually your strategy. But eventually, legislation, EU legislation, policies, they will push towards stricter requirements and different, better design,
It would be
eco
very
design.
useful also to have this presentation that you have shared with us and looking better on with more times because it's real clear all the contact that you put there. Okay, we will use that, but it's clear the presentation, so it will be helpful also for us to explain to the other people that are not there at the moment what we are talking about and why is these things so interesting and so useful.
Yeah, feel free to use our presentation and feel free to call us to join to actually present. We are always happy to
join
join, and
because sure you can explain your product
that's what we work
better
on.
than me. Of course.
That's what Barton and I work on. That's actually our primary activity, and yes, that's what we like.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I don't know if there is other question or other something. I don't see.
No, I think we've
we didn't have that many people, so
time. So well, thank you very much for everything and for your presentation and for this really interesting certification product. It's really a great idea and very helpful for everybody. So I hope to have another conversation with you and to have other contact. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too,
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Barton.
Thanks for the
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Barton.
Thanks to participants,
everybody.
Simone. Yep.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. See you.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you
Laura.
much.
Thank you, Simone. Bye. Bye.